Hi guys, it's just another quick tournament review for Middle-earth strategy battle game tournament I went to recently. Hello and welcome to another quick tournament review of Slaughter in the South, which I went to last weekend, depending on when I put this video up. That's the GBHL 90 at a board in Brum. So the points level for this one is 550. I kind of ummed and ahed about what to take a little bit, but I ended up with Ugluk Scouts just because I sort of lacked imagination to think of anything else at the time. So I've got 41 models. So I've got Ugluk, one Marauder with banner and shield, 6 with bow, 5 with shield, and then Malhir with 7 orcs with bow, 5 with shield. Then I've got Grishnak with shield, 7 orcs with spear, and then I've got Snaga with 5 orcs with spear, and then 1 orc with spear and shield. I think the things I noticed for this is that I was a bit stumped at 550 just because my 500 list is fairly similar, apart from Grishnak's Warband is also maxed out. And the orcs have spears and shields. I think that works a lot better. So with Snaga, with 550, I basically had to add Snaga and then get rid of a few shields to add like a couple more numbers, I think. So my first game was against Dan Adams, who brought Army of Thror. So that's Thror, Thrain, a captain, and then a bunch of Grimhammers, some of which are Guardians, and then Warriors of Erebor with Spear and Shield. So this tournament used the veto system as well, but rather than vetoing pools, you kind of veto scenarios from sort of across all the pools. So it means that each set of scenarios you're vetoing on are quite varied. I vetoed Lords of Battle because I think I would just lose basically. And Dan vetoed Seize the Prize because obviously I think he'd just lose that. Because obviously I'd just march onto the prize turn 1 quite easily, and then sort of dig it up and then move 8 inches a turn towards his board edge, and there's literally nothing he could do about it. So we ended up playing Capture and Control, which realistically still favoured me quite a lot, I think. And I think I deployed sort of 6 inches back from the midpoint, just so I couldn't be charged turn 1. I sort of lined up a firing squad of Uruk bows. I didn't feel the need to deploy right in the middle, because I think with my extra movement, I think there's a bit of flexibility with me being able to sort of manoeuvre. So I didn't feel the need to sort of go right up to the objective and try and grind it out there. I could sort of, use my manoeuvrability to get around and get objectives that way. So he deployed right up on the midpoint, because obviously I think he just really needed to get stuck in and sort of get to grips with me. So turn 1, I actually didn't end up moving. He moved forwards to within throwing weapon range. And basically just had a few shots at each other, and I think I came off slightly better in that exchange, just because I have a stupid number of bows, and also dice to hit were pretty turd, which helped. Then the second turn, I just sort of thought, let's just get stuck in basically. So the first turn I found with Ugluk Scouts often end up sort of being shield wall to shield wall. So because your orcs are a bit slower, they sort of only just have the movement to tuck in behind the Uruks turn 1. So that's what I ended up doing. But once, as turns passed, I sort of used that manoeuvrability to try and get around the flanks and, get the animosity going and all that sort of thing. So I think that the short version is, over the course of the game, I sort of just used that to whittle down the dwarves. But he had Thrain and a captain as sort of a little hit squad, and that was absolutely terrifying because Thrain is an absolute beast. But I think I was able to just sort of feed a few Uruks at a time, and then somehow Grishnak ended up quagmiring Thrain for a couple of turns, which was weird. But yeah, I think that's kind of more or less how it went. Eventually, I sort of just whittled them down, and I think I was able to claim most of the objectives, and that one ended 10-0. I think, to be fair to Dan, his dice were absolute turd, so and the objective didn't favour him to begin with. So I think that's perhaps not an unexpected result in those circumstances. But it was a really good game. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, so good start to the day anyway. So round two, I was against Jake Rawson and his Arnor. His list was basically a Captain, Malbeth, and Arvedui, and then I think probably a maxed out on Rangers, and then just a lot of tin cans and a banner. So that was kind of terrifying, because I think the antidote to Ugluk Scouts is other Horde armies, pretty much, because I don't like it when they don't outnumber. So I think he started by vetoing Divide and Conquer, presumably because he didn't want me to sort of use my superior speed to just sort of run onto the objectives and, sort of die on the objectives, basically. And then I vetoed to the death, just because this is one of the armies that could outshoot me quite easily with the extra bows and extra range and have a lot of defense 4. So I didn't fancy just marching across the board being shot to pieces, basically, and sort of guided. So we ended up playing Destroy the Supplies. I think from the outset, I didn't really know what to do. So I was kind of had most of my guys up in a big block, and we were just going to march up towards their objectives and hopefully just surround and kill a portion of his army, because there was a hill sort of splitting the army into two a little bit. And then as the game went on, he sent sort of a squad led by the captain round to get my objectives, and I thought if I can leave a few orcs back, and even if I don't stop him destroying the objectives, but sort of delay and try and just lose 2, and then hopefully get all 3 of his, break him and kill Arvedui, then that would be good. It didn't really work out like that. So I tried to get up the board quickly. I think I marched once or twice, but the bows on my defense 4 were just pretty nasty. I think I lost 7 or 8 guys to shooting. I sort of had a few pot shots back, but didn't really do anything. So we kind of ended up sort of clashing over there, and I basically got the worst of it. And I had a few guys blocking on the left and a few guys blocking on the right, and it just kind of went badly everywhere, to be honest. And I think the shooting and then also the fight 4 everywhere for Arnor was quite scary. And I think he also played it pretty much perfectly, and I didn't play my side perfectly at all. I basically didn't have a sort of solid plan. I kind of had a vague plan, and then I got sort of flustered and then sort of did nothing very well. So I think I was lucky to only lose 10-0. I think there was sort of a bit of model miscounting at the end, which prevented his 12-0ing. So yeah, it didn't go well. It was a bit frustrating for me, actually, because I think if I'd have managed to get the game to end a bit earlier, because I basically changed strategy to trying to win to then trying to minimise the amount I lost by, which basically meant stabbing everywhere and trying to get my guys killed to sort of trigger the end of the game, which is always a bit weird. But it was kind of annoying because obviously start shielding anyway. But I couldn't seem to sort of do what I wanted when I was trying to win, and then I also couldn't seem to die quickly enough. So I sort of lost the 3rd objective, and Ugluk died quite quickly. So I think that's another 4 points that I lost. So it could have been a smaller loss if things had gone my way a bit more. But equally, I think 10-0's fair. I got pretty soundly beaten, to be honest. And we were talking at the end of the game about what I could have done differently. And Jake suggested keeping 1 or even 2 of my heroes in the back line to sort of protect those. But I suppose what I was worried about is sort of being outnumbered and killed in the main fight, and then my guys at the back not contributing that much and me losing out on the might. Yeah, so that might have been another way to play it. So round 3, I was quite surprised to be playing Mr. Tom Patterson, Atomic Tom. Because he'd won both his games and I'd won 1 and lost 1 and was sort of on neutral victory points. So that was weird. But yeah, so Tom brought Lake Town, led by Erebor Reclaimed Thorin on Goat. And then he had Master Alfred Braga, and then a captain, and then just a lot of Lake Town. I think he had 48 models. So this is another one where he could outnumber and outshoot me. So I was just like, tough matchup maybe. So I vetoed Contest of Champions because obviously Thorin versus Ugluk. I think we know who's going to win. And then I think he vetoed Domination, presumably just although he had the models. I guess it's the movement thing again coming into play. And Clash by Moonlight, he's got more bows than me, and I've got a lot of defense 4, so that that's pretty nasty. So this was basically just me moving towards him for a few turns, and I sort of tried to line up 12 inches away, well, just over 12 inches away, so he couldn't shoot, and then basically march. And I can't remember if I marched twice in the end, but just sort of jump right on him early on, and hopefully only cop 2 rounds of shooting, which is what happened. I think he shot me a bit, and I think I got off quite lightly, to be completely honest. I'm not sure if I shot back or I didn't even bother in the end. I don't think I bothered. And he was kind of squished against his edge of the board, and our lines clashed. And again, I suppose the short version is I did well on my right and just squished a load of Lake Town because his heroes were concentrated on his right. So it meant I lost a few guys on my left. His left sort of capitulated. So it looked like it was going really well for me, actually. I thought I had this one in the bag, really. And so I killed a whole lot of Lake Town and I broke him. And to be fair to Tom, his dice were horrific, so that made it a much closer game than it might have otherwise been, I suppose. So things were looking great because I'd not lost a hero. He hadn't lost a hero because he'd been keeping him safe and sort of been mindful of the objective. And I had to use my heroes a bit. And I think the notable thing I did was kept chucking Grishnak into Thorin and striking and stopping him doing that free heroic combat and forcing him to use his might to strike back. It was quite weird because Grishnak survived for like a weirdly long time and he even got Thorin off his goat eventually, which was surprising. So yeah, no, I think things were going really well. I'd killed a bunch of dudes, and then I was thinking, well, let's think about objectives now. And now that I've got them sort of broken, and yeah, just doing the business basically. But I think it might have even been the last turn. I think it was the last turn actually, where he just about broke me. So then that was 3-3, and he called a combat with Thorin, and I don't know why I missed this, but I just didn't see it. I guess the Grishnak was vulnerable, so I didn't strike. Thorin went and killed Grishnak. That's a 6-3 loss from a 3-3 draw because I lost one hero and he hadn't lost any. It's annoying because I think if I'd have struck, I don't see Thorin going in there just because I think I killed his goat and had his might off. His fate off him by that point. So the risk is he sends Thorin in, I bonk him on the head, I do a wound, and I think that's more VPs to me. So I think if I'd have just called that bloody strike, it would have been a draw. But it doesn't matter because I think this was my favourite game. It was really close and it was really good and it was a lot of fun. And watching Tom get more and more exacerbated with his dice rolls was sort of amusing as well. And at lunch, I was sort of saying, that I'd sort of lost the joy of tournaments a little bit, and I'll probably slow down on tournament front, I think. But then, sort of having said that, and then coming straight into this game was really nice, just because I think this game is exactly why I really like tournaments. It's competitive, fun, close, but chilled, and just playing with, good people. So. But yeah, that was another defeat to me anyway. So I was two losses and a win at the moment. So I was hoping to break even with the last one and hopefully get that second win and go 2 for 2. So I played Matt in the last game and his Halls of Thranduil. And it was a pretty straightforward list actually. It was Thranduil on Elk and everything apart from the bow, so that's kind of terrifying. 3 Mirkwood Cav and then a block of 8 Palace Guard, half with Spear and Shield, and one of those had a banner. And then the other warband was Legolas with 4 or 5 Mirkwood Rangers and a Sentinel. So I think I vetoed Assassination just because my target would have to be Legolas. and maybe I chose the wrong scenario in the end. I just thought that it would be quite tough killing Legolas if he's got 3 strikes with an Elven Blade, and I didn't fancy it, but I think it probably would have been a better choice in the end. But he vetoed Breakthrough, and obviously it's just because I have a high model count and lots of movement, so that makes sense. But yeah, we ended up playing Command the Battlefield, which, to be fair, is actually still quite good for me on paper. So yeah, I sort of went into that fairly confidently, and I lost the first priority, which is also great, because I think Legolas spent a point and might not to come on, and Thranduil came on in a corner, and I rolled. Yeah, I rolled all my guys, and I ended up having to spend. I think I spent all of Ugluk's might, and then I spent 2 might on someone else as well, just to set up this absolutely perfect, this perfect scenario where I basically just boxed in the majority of his force, and I just thought if I can, do my, Uruk stuff and just go in and just absolutely murder, then send a few guys off to do the objectives afterwards, then that's perfect. But there's not really much to say about the scenario. So Thranduil popped the Aura of Dismay. Turn the turn he came on. And it's just one of those games where I think I lost almost every duel, and then like my courage, I just couldn't seem to get anyone to charge in, and my shooting did nothing, and it's just one of those games where I think I killed about 3 models, and nothing I did would go right, and I mean that was that really. I think Thranduil botched once, and I killed his elk, and I think that's the highlight. I think other than that, I killed a couple of guys, three, 4 guys maybe. Ugluk got shot by Legolas on the deadly aim thing, so where he goes 2+ and then 5+, and I think Ugluk just got shot a few times. I tried to run him away and hide him, but obviously that 2+ is nasty, and then only a 5+ to wound. So I don't think I'd do anything differently, to be honest. Well, apart from I might have been better off with assassination. Maybe Grishnak as the assassin, try and strike up and trap Legolas, and I think that's a dead Legolas. But yeah, I think that would have been better. But I think I should have done better on this one. But I think I do feel like my dice betrayed me a little bit. Yeah, so I ended up losing 3, so I came quite far down the order. Yeah, but it's a really good tournament, and yeah, I especially really enjoyed that game against Tom. Actually, I think that's one of the best ones I've had in quite a while. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that sort of quick summary of the tournament. I've got one in Swindon at the end of the month, and then I've got one in Bicester at July, and then I don't think there's anything till October, so it might be a bit quiet on the tournament front after that. But yeah, I hope I'll see you guys at one of them soon.